Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to another segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Today we recite from Asa Mahalla Tija, and the genre is a kafi, sung to the 8th beat. Asa Kar Athwa Kafi Mahalla Tija. The recitation. Ik oankar Satgur Prasad, Har ke Bhanai Satgur Milai, Sach soji hoi, Gur Prasadi man vasai, Har bujai soi. Main saudata ek hai, Avar nahi koi, Gur kirpa te man vasai, ਤਾਂ ਸਦਾ ਸੁਖ ਹੋਈ ਰਹਾਓ। ਇਸ ਜਗ ਮਹਿ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਹਰ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ, ਪਾਈਏ ਗੁਰ ਵਿਚਾਰ, ਬਿਨ ਨਾਵੇਂ ਜਮ ਕੇ ਵਸ ਹੈ, ਮਨ ਮੁਖ ਅੰਧ ਗਵਾਰ। ਹਰ ਕੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਜਨ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰੈ, ਬੂਝੇ ਸਚ ਸੋਈ। हर के पाणे सालाहिए, पाणे मनिए सुख होई। हर के पाणे जन्म पदार्थ पाया, मति उत्तम होई। नानक नाम सलाह तू, गुरमुख गत होई। Har ke Bhanai Satgur Milai. Har ka Bhana here is the refrain, which is the will of the Har self. This whole passage revolves around Har ka Bhana. The idea that the process getting on the path of Gurmat begins with a prompt from the Har itself. It's a very interesting way of looking at things. So affinity with the Har self develops through the true enlightener, the Satgur, who in turn then gives us discernment of the Har self. Har ke Bhanai Satgur Milai, sach soji hoi. Gur prasadi man vasai, har bujai soi. So when the self-knowledge takes root in the mind as a result of apprenticing to the Satgur, the Har self is revealed within the mind. So this is continuing the theme from the adjacent passages. We had noticed that the first step in the path of Gurmat Bhakti is to cultivate an affinity for the Har self. And one develops this kinship only when the self wills it. The Guru is saying that the self really prompts this. In other words, we are constantly getting intimations from the self, and we have to be awake to catch on to them. So the self prompts the process, initiates the process, instigates us to go seek an enlightener Guru. And then the Guru, the Satguru, engages us in a process of negating the haume, because the haume ego has to be erased before we can actually become self-aware. And so the Guru gives us soji, discriminative intellect, where you can grasp intelligible things, not necessarily physical things, where you can intuit true from false and become aware. So you are given that intellect, you are polished. The haume ego that covers the mind right now is erased. Only then can you see behind it. And this whole process, interestingly enough, is initiated as an impulse, if you will, from the self. So this impulse is that the self is what is sending us these vibratory impulses as thoughts that prompt us to do certain things. So it is through the grace of Guru wisdom, which brings bliss in the process, that you begin to realize that the absolute is one. There is only one reality. मैं सौ दाता एक है, अवर नाही कोई, गुर कृपा ते मन वसै, ता सद सुख होय. Bliss through Gur Kirpa. Through Gur Kirpa, again, is self-knowledge. That is the grace of the Guru. The grace of the Guru is self-knowledge, which we also call Naam. Self-awareness. Chetanta, as it's called. इस जग में निर्भो हर नाम है, पाइए गुर विचार, बिन नामे जम के वस है, मनमुख अंधगवार. So इस जग में निर्भो हर नाम है. In this present time, इस जग में, जुग में rather, जुग, in this age, in this present time, निर्भो हर नाम है. Name, knowledge of the self is the only way to liberate ourselves from fear. Fear of death, because you recognize your true identity as the self, which never dies. And this, again, the Guru tells us, comes through deliberation on Gur wisdom. Bin naame jam ke vas hai. So without this self-knowledge, the conditioned mind, the manmukh, most of us, the manmukh lives in fear of death. And because it is deprived of Gur wisdom, it goes astray. It doesn't have a compass. It doesn't have a moral, ethical compass, spiritual compass. Bin naame jam ke vas hai, manmukh andhgawar. Har ke paane jan seva kare, bujhe sach soi. So it is the will of the Har self that prompts the servant devotee into the service of the enlightener Guru. This can also be read as, in order to incur the pleasure of the Har, or in other words, to know the Har, you have to serve the Guru. Har ke paane salahiye. Again, the will of the herself that initiates the cultivation of virtue, or cultivate virtue under the auspices of the Guru to know the self. It's a circular process. Har ke paane janam padarth paya. Again, it's through that instigating will of the herself that eventually gives you rebirth, regeneration spiritually, janam padarth. And that comes through uttam mati uttam hui. That is that vivek buddhi. Nanak naam salah tu gurmukh gad hui. So cultivate self-knowledge and find freedom. On that note, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.